Hey, what's going on, guys? It's CJ here, back with another movie review. This time I'm going to be talking about the 2020 Christopher Nolan film, highly anticipated film, Tenet. Before I get started on this review, I haven't really been seeing a lot of, well, any reviewers for that matter, saying this, and I feel the need to kind of be upfront and honest about it and stuff. We're in this quarantine COVID-19 world, so to speak, and stuff, especially in the States. And I say this wholeheartedly. If you have a drive-in theater in your area, I would suggest going to a drive-in to see this film that I'm about to talk about. Being in especially living in the DC metropolitan area and stuff, I found one Alamo Draft House out in Ashburn. They had a drive-in theater for this film, and managed to go see that. And actually, if you watch my New Mutants review, this was the same place I saw New Mutants at and stuff. So hey, if you have a drive-in, definitely go see it. If you don't have a drive-in, I personally don't feel you should risk yourself going to the theater to see this film. And it has nothing to do with the film quality and whether it's good or bad. It's just strictly for your safety, your health safety and stuff. Because to be honest, if that drive-in theater thing didn't happen for Tenet, I wouldn't be able to give you this review. I for damn sure was not going to try to go onto some bootleg site and see the film because I honestly don't feel I would have got the same. I would have got the same quality of being able to do this review properly if I did see it on bootleg. And the fact that we had a drive-in theater for this in this area, I took the opportunity to do that. So if anything, yes, if you have a drive-in theater, see it. If you don't, I would hold off on watching this movie until it's safe to actually see this film outright and stuff. So just putting it out there. Do not go to any movie theater. Just if you have a drive-in, see it. If you don't have a drive-in, hold off on this. So just putting it out there. So, anyways, Tenet, very high anticipated movie. I can tell you up front, if you saw the trailers, you were probably just like me, where you were kind of like, you have a general idea of what it is, but you don't know what it is because it looks like it's a time travel movie, but is it a time travel movie and things like that. So I will say up front, Tenet is very much a spy film up front, first and foremost. Like when with Inception, for instance, Inception was very much kind of like a espionage type film, heist film, basically and stuff. And the gimmick with Inception was the whole dream within the dream kind of thing and stuff. And it was very much a part of that film. You know, with Tenet, the whole idea of the inversion gimmick and stuff with the whole thing of going backwards in time, it's part of the movie and stuff. But initially it doesn't give off the vibe that that's the it's going to be part of the movie, so to speak. I'm trying to get my words straight. So the whole general outline of Tenet, it plays out like a typical James Bond movie. John David Washington plays protagonist. Yes, that is his name, protagonist. It's weird, so to speak. But anyways, um, much like James Bond, he gets drafted through circumstances. He gets drafted into an organization, a spy organization called Tenet, and they, through reasons, end up through very much something I can't spoil. They come in contact with items that give the ability to kind of go backwards in time. So, for instance, uh, there was a wall. Well, this isn't really a spoiler, but like, there's a wall that has bullets in it that's getting shot by the gun, and through inversion, the bullet comes back to the user through the gun and all that and stuff. And it's a very trippy thing. But past that, the outline is basically protagonist has to go after Kenneth Branagh's bad guy Sator, and because he has an item that could possibly destroy the world. You've seen James Bond movies. That's the basic outline of every James Bond movie, is that happening and such. Um, During the process and stuff, he comes across Kate, who is Sator's estranged wife, and he develops a relationship, so to speak, with her in a way, and she gets pretty much involved in his mission to save the world and go after Sator and stuff. It's pretty straightforward on that level, but then when you add in the inversion gimmick into it and stuff, the time travel, that's when it gets a bit tricky. And I'll say this up front: if there was any negative about the film, and it's more of like a nitpicky negative, it's the fact that the central conceit of the inversion process, it will be confusing. On the surface, it's straightforward, but there's a point in the movie where it starts getting a little muddled and confusing. Even with the explanation of what it is, it's still confusing. And it's not even confusing in a like bad way. It's confusing in of I need to see this again to get a clear idea of how this whole process goes and stuff. I know some people might take that as a negative and be like, "Fuck this movie, it's so pretentious." Itself. No, but for me, and I'm just saying for me personally and stuff, when I watched it and I'm paying attention to it, I had an understanding of what it was. But again, for me, I have to see it again to get a full kind of like, all right, I get what it is now and stuff. Right now, I'm like 75% there of having the full understanding, which I think is still better than nothing. But the inversion thing, it's very much a trippy thing. Like if you thought the inception idea of dream within a dream and then all the stuff that's happening around them during this dream was trippy, this is even more trippy because you when you have things like a car going backwards and the bad guys shooting at the good guys while they're inverted and stuff, and bullets going on there and stuff. At one point, protagonist is fighting some dude in a mask and stuff, and he's inverting while they're fighting and stuff. It's like it's confusing in a funny way. And I think that's what makes it particularly kind of like charming to me in a way, because you're just sitting back during the whole course of the fight and you're like, and you're laughing just because of how crazy it is. And then you're at a point now where you're like, I want to know how they did this, because again, it's trippy. They're going backwards in time. He's fighting, and you see the other guy kind of dodging his fist, but in a very much like I'm going backwards. It is so bizarre, and I think I have a full understanding because between that fight sequence and then the action sequence on the highway that you saw in the trailer and things like that, I have a full understanding of why Nolan really pushed for wanting people to get the theater experience for this film, because I feel as though you don't get this by just bootlegging this film on a shitty quality, pardon the language, shitty quality cam footage of this. This is one of those movies you got to see in theaters. But again, as I said at the top of this review, drive in theater or just hold off on watching this. But you have a full understanding of it and stuff, because the way everything is shot and the way everything goes during these sequences and stuff, when the inversion is kind of added to the mix, it makes you want to sit there, and when you see it in a theater, you get the full picture of how it's being used and stuff. And like I said, credit to Nolan and him how he did this and stuff. It's like Inception, where you're just intrigued and you want to see more. You want to see more applications of how they go about it and stuff. And they do the inversion in a very trippy way in how they apply it and stuff. Even beyond just action, it's just little actions and stuff, and it's great. Um, the visuals and the cinematography is great. It's interesting to me because I'm oftentimes wondering the special effects, because special effects in this movie is actually phenomenal and great, and that's how you get the inversion effects and stuff. And a lot of it looks like there's a lot of practical stuff, and there's definitely probably some moments of CG and stuff which you'll probably see, but it's not like noticeable and stuff. And everything felt like it doesn't have that Michael Bay-esque flair to it and stuff. It's like the action, it's concise. If you've seen Inception, you have a general idea of how Nolan does his action stuff. Even in the Batman films and things like that, you have a general idea of how he does his action and stuff, and it works. Past just the visuals and the cinematography is great. The set pieces and stuff where he goes is great. Even there's one point where him and his boy Neil, played by Rob Pattinson, they have to infiltrate this building, and the way it's shot at night, it looks very nice and gorgeous and stuff. And you can actually see them at night when they're going up the building and things like that. It's great. It's phenomenal. Even the musical score is great. I actually want to get the soundtrack because it has a very low key synth wave type vibe to it at times, and it kind of sets the mood for different sequences and stuff, especially when you get to like the last part of the film and such. Um, The acting is good across the board. I What's interesting to me is that people talk about who's going to be the next James Bond after Daniel Craig. I can actually see John David Washington doing that because again, for Nolan to establish this film up front as a spy film, John actually kind of carries himself very well to where if you were to tell me he was next James Bond, I buy it because the action scenes that he's in, he does a great job of selling you that this guy is fucking badass. He's a legit CIA agent, and it works. I know some people might disagree with that, but whatever. Um, but like I said, the acting across the board is great. Even Kenneth Branagh's bad guy Sador, you know, he's not crazy over the top, but he has the right amount of subtlety to him because again, it's the typical I'm the bad guy. I feel what I'm doing is for the betterment of myself. Fuck everybody else. And I think that works because Kenneth Branagh knows how to really get that out and stuff, and it's great, especially when it comes to him and Kate, his wife and stuff. You see that kind of tension between them and stuff, and even you get the tension between John and Sator when they do meet up with each other. You get that tension and stuff, and even going down to Neil and protagonist having that like close like friendship with one another and stuff. You buy it, you believe it, and it's great, and you want to see more of it and stuff. In fact, I love to see a sequel to this to see both of these two team up again and stuff because they just have the camaraderie and stuff. And it's interesting too because my perception of Rob Pattinson, I never felt one way or the other about him and stuff. I know a lot of people shit on him because of Twilight and stuff, and I get it and stuff. I've seen the Lighthouse. I think it was Lighthouse. Yeah, Lighthouse that he was in. So I know he's a good actor. And seeing him in this film and the way he goes about his character and stuff is great, and you want to see more of it and stuff. And I think that's credit to him as well. Was it Aaron Taylor Johnson, that guy that played Quicksilver in Kick-Ass? He's in the film, and it's interesting because you don't really catch it that it's him until they do a close up and you see him. And I was like, holy crap, that's Aaron. Okay, cool. And it's those little moments that I think is great too as well. Other than that, like I said, it's a solid 9 out of 10. It's definitely worth it. But like I said, I don't feel you should risk your health to go to a actual theater to see it. But if you have a drive-in theater, go check it out. 9 out of 10. Tenet is great, and that in mind, peace out.